Hi everybody, this is Alchemist 2, and I'm back again with another movie review. Recently I got to see Mr. Peabody and Sherman, which I grew up with when I was a little girl. I remember them from Rocky and Bullwinkle. They were actually my favorite part of Rocky and Bullwinkle, and I didn't know until later that I was going to be a history buff. I guess I was always a history buff, and I was just reawakened to it when I was in high school, but I always adored it because this was even before I became a Whovian, but I've always loved the whole mechanization of multi-dimensions and time travel, and I guess that's the reason why I'm so, dare I say, obsessed with physics and theoretical physics and string theory, and actually superstring theory. I know a lot of people are saying string theory doesn't exist. I beg to differ, but we're not going to go into that right now. But I hate it when it does that. But anywho, I really enjoyed the film, and I thought it was absolutely gorgeous to look at. It's just a beautiful movie in and of itself. It begins with a a small cartoon about these little aliens that kind of look like Om Nom Nom from Cut the Rope, and they're looking for a home in which to live, and they've always fled, and they find a planet at the very end, and it's really quite funny. It's always Earth. Why is it always Earth? Why do they always have to come here? Anyway, I'm just saying, cute as though they might be. I absolutely adored Mr. Peabody and Sherman. There was a big Doctor Who reference in it. I'm not going to say where it was, but I thought it was very amusing. Mel Brooks was a voice in it, and I was so uber pleased with that. He played Einstein, and I didn't know that he was even involved. Of course, Patrick Warburton plays Agamemnon. Sorry, it's all Greek to me. Sorry, had to do it. It's pun. Ugh. Yeah, I'm really bad with puns. Excuse me, I know puns are probably the worst possible form of humor, but next to sarcasm, it's kind of my thing. And obscure references that nobody else even understands. But there are a lot of sight gags in this film. It's really quite amusing, and there's a lot of historical travel, which I absolutely love, and the way back was bigger on the inside, like the TARDIS, and it's just absolutely sensational. It's really a beautiful film, and it even brought some tears to my eyes. I felt like Mother was speaking to me too, because there was a scene where you see how Sherman grew up. Well, he was abandoned, and they play Beautiful Boy, which is one of my mom's favorite songs other than Michelle, and I kind of felt a little sorry, I felt a little bit teary-eyed because she used to sing that to me, and it's actually getting a little bit closer to her DOD, which I call a day of death, and that was the 19th of April, 4:30 p.m. And I'm sorry. You know, I shouldn't cry for my mother, but I know she's with me in her little ways, and she reminds me every so often, and I still miss her. She was the closest thing I had to a sister. I'm sorry. Just sometimes it's so hard not to have anybody who really understands you. She probably was the only one who really got who I was, and we had the same kind of zany humor, and she really let her hair down with me, and she was just the most radical person you would ever meet. But I just wish that she was here right now. Because, you know, it would be so much easier. I try to be a strong person, God forgive me, but sometimes it's really difficult. But at least, excuse me, at least my father's coming home. I didn't want to jinx it. I thought, ah! He's finally coming home, so I couldn't be more tickled pink about that. They discovered that he has an iron deficiency, which explains his fatigue and depression. They have been monitoring his thyroid. Of course, he has a goiter. It's a small goiter, but still, at some point in time, he's probably going to have that excised. But that's a very iffy procedure as well. It's something that kind of worries me a little bit, because that area is very complex. I know a lot of people say, don't worry about getting his thyroid removed, blah, 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 blah. Do you realize how complicated it? Never mind, sorry, sometimes I just feel like, what are you talking about? I know better because I have the knowledge of A&P. Sometimes I wish I didn't, but what do you do? But he's doing well. He's going to be coming home around 2-ish, so we're probably going to be able to really enjoy our Maundy Thursday service, which, if you don't know anything about my quote-unquote religion, I hate calling it that, but I'm spiritual. I'm not religious, okay? But basically, it was the time when Jesus gave his disciples the mandate to go and make disciples of all the nations before he was taken and crucified on Golgotha, which couldn't have been very pleasant, but that's what he did for all of us, and we're all responsible for it. But thankfully, he rose from the dead, so you know, we have the promise that we're going to go to heaven when we die, thank goodness. But you know, I sometimes ask myself, am I on the right track? But with that little nudge, with a beautiful boy, that was my mom's way of telling me I was okay, and it brought a smile to my face even though I was crying. The story and plot are exceptional, the characters are tremendous, and the history value is absolutely sensational. And I felt that the metaphysical nature of it, which I actually understood what was going on, and just I relate a lot to Mr. Peabody. I know I probably shouldn't say that because that makes me really arrogant and conceited, and maybe seem a little bit holier than thou, but I totally relate to him. I think that there's another version of me that's a traveler. I'd love to meet that version of me, but I probably have a quantum jumper version of me too, because that's why I wrote my my Lux saga, which featured a quantum jumper. She wasn't always a quantum jumper. She began as a time traveler, but she later graduated to jumper, and it was something that she had to achieve through discipline. But it's a complicated story. It's something I really want to publish because I feel it's near and dear to my heart. But I'm hoping maybe I can one of these days, and my dream will come true. People coming up and asking me for autographs and all that frivolous, ambitious frivolity. But I absolutely adored this film. I just felt that it was really beautiful to look at, and plus they had a lot of morals and values involved in it as well. Patrick Warburton as Agamemnon. That's so difficult to say. Agamemnon. He was hysterical. They had a little bit of adult humor, especially considering Oedipus. I was probably the only one who laughed about that. I was the only person in the cinema who laughed about the yoga position that Mr. Peabody was in at the very beginning, and I thought, I understand. I thought, nobody else gets this. Ugh. Okay. You know, sometimes it hurts to be the smartest person in the room, but what do you do? Anywho, I give it 2 thumbs way up, 5 stars hands down, no contesting whatsoever. It just was a really magnificent film for both children and adults, and the animation was just gorgeous to look at. And what can I say? Time travel. Yeah, I love time travel. It's just such a excellent mechanism in storytelling, and it pulls you in and locks you on, and it keeps you engaged. I wasn't bored at any point in time, and I was just laughing louder than anybody in the whole cinema. There was myself, my date, and a couple of a mom and her son. But I'm just gonna be friends with that particular person. I just, I'm picky. I'm sorry. I just, it's the way I am, and that's probably why I'm alone at the moment, but not for long. I mean, I'm working on myself first. This is the most important. I know that seems selfish and narcissistic, but I'm the most important thing right now. I gotta work on me. Another update that I wanted to tell everybody about. I got my response from Pearson VUE. Finally! Yeah! And they said that it would take them 3 weeks, 3 bloody weeks, to respond to me and to set up an appointment for an actual test date. I thought, well, it'll be in May. However, I will be able to finally take my CCI and get all of that out of the way and pass it. Fingers crossed. I've been studying for months, so hopefully this time I will be able to do well. That's basically all I have to say for now, and I plan on doing a review of the final episode of OUATIW fairly soon. So until next time, live long, prosper. Ciao, tutti.